The scene opens on a desolate battlefield under twin suns, a windswept plain of scorched earth and cracked soil. Two figures stand at the center of a loose circle of spectators, an alien champion and a human challenger. The alien, Vekra, is a towering warrior woman with violet skin, golden eyes, and armor crafted from the bones of beasts native to her world. Her reputation is legendary. In every recorded combat she has crushed opponents and never tasted defeat. Soldiers from both sides watch in stunned silence. A duel between champion and champion is a spectacle and an omen. Opposite her stands a humble human, armor battered and ordinary, hair dark and unkempt, carrying no banner and wielding no ostentatious weaponry. He smiles, calm, unflappable. When Vekra declares, "No human can defeat me," the human replies simply, "Begin." The assembled crowd waits for the storm. The atmosphere is taut with expectation. Pride, contempt, and the cultural weight of an interspecies rivalry all collide in this small arena. The duel begins with Vekra launching a blistering offensive. Her speed and ferocity astonish even those who know her combat style. She swings a blade that has felled giants, and the sounds of metal and wind fill the field. The human's posture is deceptively ordinary. His movements are smooth and almost effortless, as if he's anticipating the rhythm of her strikes. Where others would meet her force with equal aggression, he sidesteps, flows, and appears almost to dance around her attacks. The first stage of the duel establishes the stakes and personalities: Vekra's pride and reliance on raw power, and the human's quiet, controlled confidence. The soldiers' reactions reveal more about this world: shock, hope, and the dawning realization that this may not be a mere spectacle of violence but a confrontation of ideas. This opening segment is ideal for a cinematic video intro: sweeping establishing shots, close-ups of the warrior's eyes and the human's calm smile, and a rising musical score that underscores the tension. It sets up the central thematic conflict: brute strength versus measured mastery, pride versus wisdom. Use this to hook the viewer, show the duel's physical danger and the emotional stakes that will drive the rest of the story. The battle escalates quickly into a showcase of contrasting combat philosophies. Vekra presses harder, deploying a barrage of strikes and a sweep aimed at the human's legs that would topple lesser opponents. Each move she makes is a test of dominance built from years of victories. Every swing is laced with the certainty of past triumphs. Yet the human does not respond with matching force. Instead, he moves with deliberate calm and uncanny precision. Where brute power meets willful force, his strategy is restraint. Rather than dodge, he leans into a sweeping attack and catches Vekra's wrist with his bare hand, an act that shocks both the alien and the crowd. He disarms her without breaking her bones or spilling blood. Her blade falls to the ground. A hush spreads across the arena. This is the duel's crucial turning point. It isn't greater muscle or faster reflexes that win, it's mastery, anticipation, and control. When Vekra draws a second blade and lunges again, the human intercepts and locks her arms with such exactness that she's forced to her knees. The narrative beat here is powerful. The alien who has never yielded is humbled, not by sheer force, but by a superior read of intention and mind. The human reads her moves, like an open book, sensing the motion before it fully forms. That prescience is framed as something far more terrifying than strength: a deep, almost spiritual control over the fight and, by extension, over one's own impulses. After the lock, the human releases her, offering a choice: continue or yield. This gesture reframes victory from annihilation to mercy. Vekra's internal conflict surfaces. Pride wars with an unexpected whisper of recognition that yielding can signify wisdom, not weakness. The crowd's stunned murmur builds to thematic revelation. Victory isn't only measured by fallen opponents but by the capacity to change hearts. For a YouTube segment, this section is perfect for close-up reaction shots, slow-motion reenactments of the wrist catch and lock, and voice-over narration emphasizing the mental game. It's the emotional pivot of the story where character arcs begin to shift and the audience sees a potential for growth rather than a simple triumph. The duel ends without a kill. Vekra, kneeling and shocked, accepts the human's offered hand and is pulled gently to her feet. That night becomes the first meaningful scene of extended interaction. Around a small fire, the two sit opposite one another, the alien warrior mind still reeling from defeat, the human tending a knife without self-congratulation. Vekra's worldview is exposed. Raised to consider humans weak and unworthy, she now sits with one who defies her assumptions. She asks his name. He says, "Daniel." The dialogue is simple but loaded, a quiet exchange that replaces the arena's roar with an intimate, personal moment. Their conversation reveals what the duel did not. Daniel could have killed her, but chose not to because killing would prove nothing. Instead, he sought to show her a different truth, that her identity is larger than her victories. He suggests she has already defeated herself through pride and that she now needs someone to show her another path. This is the philosophical core of their bond. Daniel's lesson is about identity beyond the blade, about moral strength. The next days evolve into training, but not the kind VCRA expects. Instead of honing warfare skills, Daniel teaches patience, compassion, and awareness. He guides her to listen to the wind and read hearts, skills that are framed as a different sort of mastery. VCRA resists at first. To her, these lessons feel soft, a betrayal of everything she was taught. But gradually she practices restraint and mediation. She intervenes in a domestic feud among soldiers, defusing violence with words. The transformation isn't instant, it's a slow recalibration of values. In YouTube terms, this section works as a montage, short clips showing training scenes, quiet conversations, VCRA watching Daniel teach younger soldiers, and her first successful moments of nonviolent intervention. The pacing should slow compared to the duel's intensity, allowing the audience to feel the internal change. The key takeaway presented here is that growth often arrives through small choices reinforced over time, and that a single act of mercy can seed broader change. Months pass and the world shifts. VCRA, once a living symbol of alien martial supremacy, stands transformed. She now fights with a new aim, to build rather than destroy. As the next great battle approaches, a confrontation feared to be the bloodiest ever, the armies expect the usual escalation. Instead, they confront an unexpected sight, VCRA standing beside Daniel, shoulder to shoulder as allies. This image reverberates across both camps. The sheer symbolism forces soldiers and citizens to pause. A human and an alien champion allied by choice undermines the foundational narratives of hatred and superiority that fueled decades of conflict. The presence of both leaders together diffuses momentum toward bloodshed. Where there had been inevitability, now there is a pause. Where certainty had favored war, now there is room for negotiation. The narrative emphasizes that cultural myths of supremacy and invincibility are fragile when faced with personal transformation made public. Peace emerges not from a single treaty but from a change in hearts. A chain reaction sparked by the humans' refusal to kill, the aliens' willingness to learn, and their shared example. The final battle never occurs. Instead, fragile but real peace takes root. The story's emotional conclusion centers on a late-night conversation as the two sit under the stars. VCRA asks why Daniel smiled the day she proclaimed no human could defeat her. He answers, because she had already defeated herself. She only needed someone to show her the truth. For a YouTube finale, this is the emotional high point. Visuals of the two watching stars, soldiers lowering weapons, and communities tentatively rebuilding. The closing voiceover ties the arc together. True strength is not domination but the courage to change. The final message is cinematic and philosophical. Transformation and mercy can alter history. This section lends itself to reflective music, slow camera pulls, and a clear call to the viewer. Consider how your own definitions of strength and victory might be reshaped by compassion. Use this to close the video on a resonant note that lingers after the screen fades to black.